Good evening, friends. Today, welcome to another episode of the Story of the Storyteller. Friends, those who didn't accept the tricolor, those who didn't accept the Constitution, those who didn't respect the Constitution, who never unfurled the national flag for 52 years since independence at their headquarters at Nagpur, the RSS, the Sanghis, the BJP Chelas, today are giving us gyan on the importance of national flag. An irony indeed. Friends, back in 1992, these were the same people who raised the Babri Masjid in spite of prohibitory orders at Ayodhya. Under the guidance of their Chief Minister, Sri Kalyan Singh, who gave a written assurance to the Supreme Court, the highest court in this country, and to the Union government that at all costs, since he has sworn by Constitution, would protect the Babri Masjid, the monument. But you all know the Babri Masjid was raised under the guidance, under the eyes of their own leaders. Today, these Cheddis, these Sanghi Chelas are giving us gyan on farmers entering Red Fort or hoisting flag of their community. Nishad Sahib is their community's flag, and along with that they had hoisted a flag of the Farmers Union too. They never denigrated the national flag. They never raised the Red Fort to the ground like what these Chelas did back in 1992. That is why I say, friends, understand the chronology. This Modi's government and its Chelas have consistently targeted the weaker sections. First, they targeted the students through JNU. Then they targeted all the poor, middle class, businessmen through a failed demonetization. Then they brought in GST, which more or less disturbed the very foundation of business in India, which brought many small businesses, middle class businesses to the streets. Even today, the effect of GST is so huge that many families have gone into poverty, losing their businesses. They targeted the minorities through CAA and NRC. During lockdown, friends, as Rahul rightly said today, Modi helped transfer of wealth from nearly 130 crore Indians to few crony capitalists. Just imagine, 1.2 crore people lost their jobs. I'm talking of organized jobs, forget about unorganized jobs. More than 8 to 9 crore families were affected. These families sold their properties, sold their houses to come out of poverty during the lockdown, since they had no income levels. And this shameless, thick-skinned government, in spite of so many pleas by the opposition to do a direct benefit transfer, didn't do it. While 130 crore Indians lost jobs, went into poverty, the corporate cronies of Modi wealth grew by 35%, my dear friends. Their net worth grew by 35%. The report says that Ambani earns 80 crores per hour. Look at the wealth creation. The wealth, this BJP government has transferred wealth from the normal, poor, middle class, migrant workers to fill the coffers of the rich Adani and Ambani. They even took on the Dalits across the country. They beat up Dalit men, they beat up Dalit women. Just look at the Hathras incident. The rape victim was burned even without taking the consent of the victims. Now, after targeting students, small businesses, they have started targeting the farmers. And within farmers, since farmers have no caste, they have no creed, they have targeted the Sikhs primarily because a lot of farmers from Haryana and Punjab have come to the borders of Delhi and they have spearheading the struggle of the farmers at Delhi. Today, every month a Sikh family in Punjab receives a martyred soldier wrapped in the national flag. And these Modi chelas, whose umbilical cord RSS didn't have the guts to hoist the national flag for 52 years, are now talking about Sikhs whose loyalty towards the nation is unquestionable. Look at the Sikh regiment, how many Sikhs are there in our army. Today, these chelas of Modi are questioning the nationalism of Sikhs. They are bringing Khalistan inside. They don't know the basic common sense. What is the difference between a Khalistani flag and the flag of Nishan? Friends, yesterday we were all worried because there were reports that this thick-skinned wolves of Modi government were looking to use force against the farmers of our country who have put tent at Ghazipur near UP. Friends, Yogi along with Mr. Shah who are part of the General Dyer's team tried to derail the farmers' protest by using force. They used the BJP goons from UP to go and target the farmers who pulled the sheds, who started hurling abuses, who threw stones at the farmers. And the district administration, along with the police forces, huge police forces were there, tried to remove the tents and remove the farmers from the spot. Friends, Modi thinks that through his money power, police, local BJP gundas, he can bring in divisions within the farmer community. They might conspire to use force on the farmers in the coming dark nights, in the coming days, like wolves and foxes do. If not for a vigilant opposition who whole of yesterday saw to it that force is not used against our farmers' brothers. Look at how Modi has consistently targeted different sections in our country. Look at the chronology. First, he targeted all the workers, middle class through demonetization. It brought so much of hardships. Thousands of people died. Crores of people lost their livelihood. Then a faulty GST put our economy, in a sleep mode. Then Article 370 to belittle federalism and target a state based on religion. Then they targeted the minorities through CAA, NRC. They even targeted Christians, a small micro community, on conversions. Then you all know what happened with the Dalit girl. They targeted Dalits, they beat Dalits on cow. To economic crisis post-COVID. Look at the COVID handling. We lost lakhs of people. And now Modi boasts, that he has handled COVID well through a paid mood of the nation done by India today. Look at the student distress. Students are not getting jobs after their education. In short, there is social distress, there is economic distress, there is political distress, and now rural distress. Friends, it will be wrong if we just think whatever these laws that the farm laws Modi has brought will only affect the farmers. Yes, it will affect the farmers. I will tell you how it will affect the whole society. Friends, once these crony capitalists come, the APMCs will stop functioning. Since to lure the farmers, for a time being, these crony corporates will give a better price. When farmers get a better price, they are lured here. The APMC system will collapse. When the APMC system collapses, the whole section who are the mandi merchants, the wholesalers in the APMC market will die. They will in turn become slaves of Adani and Ambani or any corporate that enters here. Now once the APMC market is collapsed, then these crony capitalists will use the Essential Commodity Act to store all the essential commodities. Now you cannot store more than a limit, but with that law being enforced, you can store whatever you want. So whenever they want to create a temporary shortage in India, they can export. They will export. Modi will not have any control over them. When they export, there will not be enough for local consumption. This will create a what you call supply-demand problem. When there is less supply, the prices shoot up. And artificial demand is created by these crony capitalists. Now look at it. Now this is on one side, they will hold all the essential commodities and rise and get down prices as and when they want. The second thing is, with Jio and other people coming into retail market, they will use this leverage of lower prices that they get from the farmers to kill most of the Kirani merchants in and around your neighborhood. So what happens? 50-60% of the farmers are affected. 5-10% of the all the mandi merchants, wholesalers are affected. Then a huge 15-20% retail, kirani shops in and across your neighborhood is affected. So, in short, more than 80-85% of the people will be affected. So what does this mean? This means all the income levels, all the turnovers generated by these three sections, 50-60% of the farmers, 10% wholesalers, 15-20% retailers, there is a transfer of wealth from these sections to the pockets of Adani and Ambani. That is how, while we will be deep growing, while we will be bearing the brunt of an economy which is under distress, and a society which is under distress, the coffers of Adani and Ambani will be rising. That is why, while we suffered, while our income levels came down, more than 10 crore families suffered, more than 1.2 crore people lost their jobs, small businesses lost their businesses. During this COVID 9 to 10 months, Adani, Ambani's net worth grew by 35%. Friends, that is why don't think that this particular fight is only for the farmers. The farmers will suffer. Every individual will suffer. Every person on the street will suffer. The distress which is now rural, the distress will come to the urban also. When most of the Kirani shops will not have customers, people will get used to the digital platform, and most of them will start buying from Jio platforms, your Amazons and big guys. So in short, already today, 1% of the rich in the India hold around 80% of the land, 80% of the resources, or 80% of net worth of all businesses in India. Today, that will furthermore go up. What will happen is, small businesses, small people can't compete with these people. Can a farmer, a Ramegowda from Mandya or a Sanjeev Reddy from Anantapur, can he compete with this Adani and Ambani? Who are Adani and Ambani? They are capitalist friends of Modi. When they get more money, BJP gets more money. When BJP gets more money, Modi gets more power. This money power, this money cloud, this social cloud, political cloud, economic cloud will be used by these fascist forces to throttle all the people who are at the receiving end. Who are at the receiving end? The women, the students, the farmers, the workers, the migrants, the small businesses, kirani merchants, mandi merchants, no? The Muslims, the Dalits, the OBC. Friends, if you think I am not a mandi merchant, it's not going to affect me. I am not a Dalit, it's not going to affect me. I am not a farmer, it's not going to affect me. Friends, one fine day Modi will be after you when he comes for you. When he targets you, none of these will be in a position to support you. Hence, today, we all have to support this farmer agitation. We have to bring this naked emperor down and show him that his policies and he is indeed naked. If we sleep, if we sit quiet, believe me friends, in the coming days, we all will suffer. We all will be responsible for what will happen for our future generations. Today, if we don't protect our annadatas, today if we don't protect our farmers, tomorrow it will be at the cost of your stomachs. You will have to sleep with empty stomachs. With empty stomachs, you cannot fight this Modi. With empty stomachs, you cannot fight this capitalist Adani and Ambani. So, it is now or never. Jai Hind.